Welcome to Peeking Over the Fence, a podcast where we share real stories of healing and hope. We are your hosts, Missy and Karen, and we're so glad you're here.
Okay. So, welcome to our second episode of Peeking Over the Fence. We just want to take a second to thank everybody who has watched our first episode and reached out to us. I can't tell you what it means to have people take the time, first of all, to listen to my story and to hear how much it's touched people. It's really humbling, but also how much it means to have people share their stories with us as well. So we are just honored to hold space for people to do that. So this week I'm gonna be the interviewer and I'm gonna talk to Karen. So I hope I do as well as you did last week. So
I hope I do as well as you did last week.
well, I think if we have as many technical issues as we did last time, oh my goodness. But I think we worked the kinks out. We were able to fix her hair and not have pajamas on. And we're just praying over this and that we, get the message out of what we want to share. So Karen is going to talk about an experience she had with a house fire that really changed a lot in her life. And Karen, can you tell us why you chose right now to share your story about the fire?
Well, this week it was 2016, and it was a couple weeks before Christmas, just like right now, the fire happened. So we are the anniversary every year is always it's always something.
Right. And
Yep.
I want to tell you that I want to share with everybody that we would do cookie day at Karen's house in Virginia. And it was just such a special time. And that, I think back to that old kitchen too, of all the memories that we have there too.
Oh,
So,
right,
you
right.
know, that was a huge deal. Like that, your house meant a lot to everybody. And we had just had
Mhm.
cookie day, what, the week
The
before?
week, 1 week before we had cookie
Yes,
day,
so
yeah.
1 week before. So why don't you tell us the details of like walk through what happened?
Okay, so that night there was an ice storm, and our house had a wood stove, and it was our house, there was like an older section. It had been added onto. It was a very the house had a lot of character. The
Mhm.
way, I mean, you would never find another house like that. There were different additions, and it was a cool house.
Mhm.
And so we had the wood stove, and so it was like the kitchen, dining room, and then family room, and then the wood stove, and then the pipe. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but the
Don't
pipe from
ask
the
me
wood.
technical terms. I don't
Yeah,
know
so
either.
so the pipe where the smoke goes up that you're burning
Yeah.
went up, was on the inside of the wall, which went up to the bedroom. So the bedroom was over top of that
Mhm.
area. So the pipe was in the wall. And in that part of the house, the code at that time, which has changed now, the encasing could be in wood. If you can, I mean, we can clearly understand why they changed it.
Right.
And and so that night, um it's like we would smell the smell. Like sometimes the wood stove would burn hot and it would make that smell, but we had a thermostat on it.
Mhm.
So we kept checking it and the temperature was okay. So it was weird. And so the smell would come and the smell would go. But what was happening was somewhere in that pipe there was a defect, and the sparks were getting out and it was igniting inside the wall. So um so at some point, That's the best I can do to explain it. So,
No, that
yeah.
you explained
Okay.
it really well.
Okay. And so at some point it got out of hand and it really ignited. So I woke up to 4 o'clock in the morning to my former husband yelling, call 911 and get out. And so he was downstairs at that time. And so so my side of the bed was by the wall, which it would have been much quicker for me to get out of my side of the bed. But for some reason, I rolled over and got out of his side of the bed, went down to get my daughter who met me at the bottom of the steps. And she had our dog. So
And
we,
how old was she at the time?
she was in the seventh grade, I think.
Okay.
I think she was
And
in the
she had
seventh grade.
Rosie.
She had Rosie.
Mhm.
And so, and I think we grabbed coats. I don't remember, but I do know we went outside. There was an ice storm. I'm calling 911. We're standing in the front shoes. And at that time, I didn't even realize we were barefoot.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
because we were just like, so my bedroom, when I went, by the time I woke up and heard all like the smoke was all in my room.
Mm.
Um, and I so I get out into the front yard. Ella's dad was like moving cars and, trying to get them away from the house and all of that. And we're standing there, and I had called the fire department and they were on the way. And then we're watching, and then the next thing I know, there's flames coming out of the roof.
Oh
Like,
my
and I'm
gosh.
just like this, like, at first I I don't like you just don't realize how bad it is.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
oh, like this is an emergency, but it's fine.
Mhm.
And so then I called 911 again because the fire station was not far from our house. And the lady's like, the roads are so bad. And they're doing their best. And then later I found out they had like taken out a stop sign on the way to our house, and we're
Oh my
I
gosh.
know it. And so and I remember like just late, like I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but it was like it was so quiet, and it just sounded like any fireplace or any
Mhm.
bonfire or anything except for my house was burning down. Do you know what I mean? It was
Right.
like the ice was falling, and the sounds and the popping and all of that was just it's really hard to explain. Um
Probably almost felt like it wasn't really happening. Like you
yeah,
couldn't
I
almost
couldn't
believe what you were saying.
yeah, I could yeah, it was like it was kind of yeah, I was yeah, it was
Mm.
because who's expect like no one's expecting to be woken up in the middle of the night and
Right.
this be going on. So anyway, my daughter and I, we got into one of the vehicles, and the firemen came, and we're watching them like trying to get up to the house, slipping and sliding. They were
Mhm.
falling. Um and they were like they had like this whole thing organized, like they have somebody that goes in and they start grabbing like what they think is valuable. Like they were grabbing
Wow.
pictures, and they were grabbing, and I think they brought me my purse. Like they're looking for these for things like that.
That's amazing.
And then and like Ella, like at that time she had asthma, and I think they
Mm.
might have said, is there anything that you need? And I was like, we're gonna need her inhaler.
Mhm.
And like it's just like that part is kind of a blur.
Right.
And then this may have happened before them going house. They broke out the window of our family room. So there was the wood stove, and then like on one there was the family room, and that was like on the other side of the wood stove, and we had a drop ceiling, and that had ignited.
Mm.
And our cat that night kept like she knew something was wrong, and she kept meowing. And
Right.
so Ella's dad threw her in the family room, like you gotta we can't stand this. But she was
Hmm.
trying to I think she's like trying to tell us like your house, something terrible is going on.
Mhm.
So she was trapped in there with a fire, and the firemen broke out the family at some point. Ella and I are just watching this whole show, like, you know, and at some point they broke out the window and this little puff of smoke came running across the yard, and it was the cat.
Oh my
I know. And then poor thing, she had, for a few weeks, she like had like a little, she was like, like a little
God.
smoker thing, but she
Right.
ended up, she was fine. She lived
Oh,
for years
good.
after that. Yeah. So, anyway, that was kind of that. And then when it was all over, I still like, I don't know, like the idea that we could not go in, like they condemned the house,
Mm.
like it's not safe, it's not livable. And then I went to get into my car to start my car wouldn't start, first time ever, my car wouldn't start. Then I remember my brother and his wife, they like I'm standing in the driveway and we're just kind of like, okay, what next? Like, where do we go from here? Not even thinking like I don't have any clothes, I don't, not nothing but what we were wearing. And then here comes my brother and his wife. I always feel emotional. And he had a cup of coffee, like he stopped and got coffee. And I just remember like that was so meaningful. First of all, they lived in Fredericksburg. I was in Stafford at the time, which is
Right.
like 25 minutes away. And my mother had told them not to come because the roads were so bad.
Oh
So you know
gosh.
how that goes.
Right. Don't tell mom I'm here.
I know. So they're like, here they come slipping and sliding down the road with a cup of coffee. And um, I mean, like I said, that was just so meaningful. And then one of my
And just
friends,
to see family, just to see
I
family in
know,
that
just
moment.
right, just
Right.
to see family. And then of course my daughter, she posted like a video on Instagram. Like she's only in the seventh grade. And it
Right.
was so all these people start calling, and I'm like, how do they know that we had a fire?
What's happening?
So yeah, and then I was talking about it with her the other day, and she said that she was telling them, like, people were responding to her video, like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, are you okay? And then she was like, not realizing what a big deal it was. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? Like she
Right.
posted a video of our house burning down, and then she was like, I just didn't realize, because when you're in it, you don't realize how bad it
Right.
is. And
Well,
so,
I think we had talked about like what your body does in a moment like that. And
mhm.
and we'll kind of touch on that later too, but just you disassociate.
Right. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Red Cross showed up, and that man, he comes up, and I was like, he's like, how are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like crying, and then I'm laughing. He's like, ma'am, are you okay?
No, I am
But
not.
yeah. And then we had friends. So then I was like, I got to figure out what to do with these animals, because like, what are we gonna do? And our dog she's older now, so she's much better behaved, but she was feisty when she was younger. And
Yes, she
and
is.
like taking her even to like a animal friendly hotel,
Mhm.
I was like, I cannot stay with her for,
Right.
but I didn't know what to do with her. Well, I think I might have been trying to find a hotel, and one of my friends called, and she was asking me like, what can we, and I was like, I can't talk right now, I'm trying to find a place for my dog. And then she and her husband pulled up, and they're like, we're taking the dog.
Wow.
And it was so, yeah, and they said, and I remember her husband saying that everything was fine once their dog realized that Rosie was the boss. So then it was like all of these, like, all oh my goodness, like we belong to this wonderful church, and I can't tell you, Missy, the people, I'm like, to this day, I still, when I think back to that, the way the people showed up.
Mhm.
We had multiple offers for to go live with people. Um the people showed up to take Rosie, and then they had us over their house for dinner, and like, this woman is petite, and we're not really the same size, but she had clothes that she was going to put on consignment, like this whole rack of clothes. And she's like, if any of them fit you, you can have them. Like, they all fit, shoes, clothes. Like, it was like sisterhood of the traveling pants. Like, I don't know how we got to the same size, but we
That's
did.
amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the night of the fire, my mom, she hosts Christmas dinner every year, and she was like, we're still having Christmas dinner.
Hmm. We're still
And
doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
my sister showed up, and she, like, I hadn't thought, like, we don't have any underwear. We don't have any, like, all of the, and like a hair dryer and a
Right.
jacket and, stuff like that. And then the next day at church, um, same, like, people, I remember one man handed me $500 cash. And I
Wow.
was like, what? Like, I don't even know if we need it. He's like, I don't care. He's like, take
Wow.
it. And it was like, these people are like, whatever you need, whatever you need. And they just kept showing up. I mean, the ornaments, some of the ornaments I have on my tree are from people that brought us ornaments, because we had a real tree that year that was in the family room. And my mother, every day, she's like, water your tree, water your
Mhm.
tree. And I was like, all right, mom, give it a break. Like, I am watering the tree. Well, the tree did not burn in the
Wow.
fire. Like, and it was
Thanks,
like,
Mom.
I know, I was, and then, but we did, we, of course, most of the ornaments melted and were
Right.
ruined. And, they were able to, the people the insurance hired or whatever, they were able to salvage some special ones. But
Wow.
yeah, so I remember, like, taking a picture of the tree and being like, look, mom, I watered the tree. It's true.
It's proof it's still here.
Yeah. So, like,
So
yeah, go ahead.
what what was that like during that time, seeing all these blessings roll in, but also, I think I think you said you moved to a hotel for a while first, right?
Yeah. So it was a very strange feeling, because it was this, we had our safe place, our home, our place where you go and shut the door, and you're, with your own things, and all of that was gone. Um, I mean, some of it just had smoke damage, and we didn't, like, lose everything,
Right,
but still,
right.
like, we didn't know, right? And we were
Hmm.
left, just kind of like, one day we just didn't have any of our things, and we couldn't get in our
Right.
house. Um, and it was like this weird, we were just being overwhelmed by kindness. And I mean, I can't even tell you, it would take me longer than we have to tell you everything that everyone did. I mean, one day, so then we ended up in the hotel. So that was a thing. And then, right before Christmas, there was this older couple at our church, the Duffys. If anybody from Ebenezer is watching this, they'll know who the Duffys were. And they had passed away, but their house was they were renting it out, and it was vacant.
Wow.
And so they contacted us and asked if, we would want to live there. And it was just like, it was such a blessing, and the house was perfect. So we get to that house, the some one of my friends, her and her son, come bringing in this Christmas tree for us.
Oh.
The don't People, I'm telling you, they Christmas, people were sending presents. Ella got, like, iPads, and I mean, I can't, I honestly, there was just so much, and I'm hesitant to even say anyone's name because there were so many people that did so many things that I don't want to leave anyone out.
Right.
Um, and yeah, but so all of these wonderful things are happening, but we had this traumatic event that, like, I remember one night we were at that house. It was in this area called Aquia Harbor, and of course it was in the winter and the trees were off the leaves, and the fire department was like not far from our house. And one night the lights were on the truck and we woke up and it was in our room, and we
Mm.
like, yeah, and we thought it was, our first instinct was it was a fire, and we were like jumping up and where's Ella, and we're, like all of that. And then we had to get like blackout curtains and things for that. And then I can remember I was struggling, like one time one of my friends was coming over and I was home by myself for some reason, and she was picking me up and I could have swore there was a haze in my house, like and I was like, are you sure you don't see anything? Because I was afraid to leave the animals, you know.
Mm. Right.
um so that sort of thing had started happening to where I was thinking there was fire and there wasn't fire.
Right.
And what also scared me was that for the fire was in the wall. So it wasn't
Mhm.
like it was out in the open right away. It was
Right.
kind of hidden in the wall. So like if I would smell smoke or any of that, I would always have to find the source and make sure it's, and this many years later it's not as intense, and I can be like, okay, but those
Right.
first few years were really hard as far as um as far as like, I hate the word, I don't like the word triggers, but
Right.
do you know what I mean? Like and
Reminders and things that bring it up and just remind you of that moment. And it's
right.
and like we had talked before, and kind of and you know more than this. We'll talk about this at a later date, but Karen is a registered nurse. She does some amazing work right now with muscle testing and um, helping people heal from a lot of different things, but she's very knowledgeable about the nervous system and kind of talk about what that did to your nervous system overall. Because I think when a traumatic event like that happens, we don't really know how to put it into words what it does. It's like the shock to your system.
Yeah, well, there's a wonderful book about that called The Body Keeps the Score. And
Yes.
so
Great.
what you don't deal with, it can make you sick, and it can
Mhm.
make so you either and you don't know, like you don't always know,
Right.
right? Like you don't always know because your body is um like like disassociation. Like I could just be like, oh, nothing's happening. This is fine.
Right. Well, when the insurance person came right
Mm.
after the fire and is like, you're like, hi, how are you? You're just like, oh, hi, how are you? And
Yeah,
then
like
it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
right, right. And then yes. And all of that was overwhelming, like the insurance and trying to get the house built and then
Mhm.
yeah, that was and I mean we did end up rebuilding, and the house ended up being so beautiful, and and it feels like I think when we first started talking about doing this podcast, we talked on Friday, and Missy was like, because I was like, you know what, it was fine. We got this new house out of it, and everything was just fine. And she's like, no, it wasn't. And that's not what we're going to talk about. Like, yeah, it was fine. And you did have the blessings, but let's dig deep. Because
Right.
she's known me for a long time and knows more of this backstory. So, yeah.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the things that once you kind of went back there because I was like kind of we were talking about what did you want to share about it and the things you experienced and what you learned
Mm.
I think it took you a little bit to kind of tap back into, wow, like that was a really traumatic experience.
Yeah. Well, we had talked about how that, when things like this happen, it's not like your life is perfect, right? It
Mm,
wasn't like, oh, my life is perfect. And then this thing happened, and this is the only thing that's going on in my life,
right.
right? There were lots of things going on that year. And I had been working on um, um, I had been in counseling earlier that year for some things that had happened in adolescence that sort of were coming forward and working through that. And then, and again, like I said, the my former husband. So then there was a divorce. So there were things going on there. Um, and um, And I think one of the things because after the fire, I remember just being like, you know what, let's just start over. Let's just start everything over. And that was sort of my default in life. And I did that many times after that. But I think one of the takeaways is that like you can make everything pretty on the outside, but if you're not fixing the inside, you're
Mm,
not going to get anywhere. And and having to face what's going on, and like things don't, you have to change things. Things just don't change because you're not addressing them.
right.
Um, so that was one of the things that I learned. Um, let's see. And then also, like, what really matters in life. I had done some work in Sierra Leone, Africa. I'd been there several times by the time this had happened. And I had already been working on um, kind of, um, like materialism. Like I was kind
Right.
of falling out of that. And then the fire would kind of seal the deal, like what was important, right? No
Mm,
lives were lost. That was the most
right.
important thing. And that's always the most important thing.
And at
Um,
that time too, I remember you telling us, because, as believers, I think one of the hardest things to reconcile with is, well, we survived this, but there was another family at that time, not long after, that didn't
oh,
survive.
right. I
And as
remember.
a Christian, like, you know, you're so grateful, but then it's almost like you feel guilty, like, so touch on that a little bit.
Right. So I remember telling you that
Mm,
we were in the rental house, and we were watching the news, and there was a house fire, and this family, like they had lost a couple, I think it was like the mother and kids all died in the fire. Um, and it's hard to be like, God blessed us. And because
right,
I know that God didn't love us more than he loved those people.
right,
Right. But it's like this thing of like, we want to talk about God's faithfulness. And I do want to talk about God's faithfulness because I do believe he saved us on purpose, and he gave us a story for that time to shine his light. But it's hard to reconcile
right,
when you see those horrible tragedies happen.
right.
Another part of that night, Missy, that was sort of I was talking about getting out of his side of the bed, was that after the fire was over and they pulled the carpet up, the floor under my side of the bed was burned up because that was the side, yeah. And so if I had the firefighters were like, if you had, there's a chance you could have fallen through the floor,
Oh my gosh.
right? And something, instead of getting out the easiest way, I went a way that I never got out of the bed.
Right.
So like that was another, there were, all these things that
Right.
happened that I believe that we were divinely directed.
right.
Um, but yeah,
And
yeah,
I
it
think
is.
it's just one of those things that we just have to say, like, we will never understand why some things happened and some things don't. And it's just one of those things where you have to trust God in that moment and just be thankful.
Right. And I think it is important to, like, he does want us to tell stories of his faithfulness, right?
Hmm.
But also, it's not because I was a better person or
Hmm.
I was none of those things. Like those
Right,
people that died in, yeah.
right,
So, mhm.
right. And so during that time, like you're dealing with all these blessings on one hand, you, you know, have this house that's beautiful. And how did you, like, what helped you move past or learn to not be so affected by the things that would, there's that word again, trigger you or remind you or kind of bring back that feeling of like dread. Like if you would smell the smoke, of a fire outside or,
Mhm.
whatever, like what were the steps that you took to kind of move past that?
Well, honestly, it took time.
Hmm.
And still to this day, my dresser has been refinished, and every now and then I swear I can get a whiff of smoke from it.
Wow.
And I don't have the same response that I did.
Right.
But it just took time and a bunch of times of smelling it and nothing bad happening.
Right.
But I remember like um probably the very next year going on a confirmation retreat where I was a mentor to students, and I had done this year after year. And one of the things that everyone looked forward to was this bonfire,
Mhm.
right? And so it was bonfire night. I hadn't thought anything about it. We were all excited, and we get there and there's this huge fire. And I had not made the connection from the sounds of the fire to the house. So I go and, sit down, and all of a sudden I'm hearing the fire burning, and I start thinking about the house burning, and that's what it sounded like. It was the same sound. It wasn't like there were these big explosions, or it was just the same exact popping sound. And then the bonfire, there were like all these sparks flying, like, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're all just sitting here and the woods are going to catch fire. No one's even paying attention. And like really getting worked up that something horrible was going to happen. And like everyone else around me is having a good time, and they're into, all the stories that are being told. And it was terrifying in that moment. Um, so those sorts of things, the more I think maybe, I'll say it was exposure therapy.
Right.
The more
Right.
you're exposed and then nothing bad happens.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, the sound of a smoke alarm, or
Mhm.
it still kind of gets, kind of
Right.
gets things going, but nothing like before. Mhm.
And what do you tell yourself in those moments when you feel like those feelings are coming back?
Like it's probably okay.
I think we're okay.
It's
Yeah.
probably okay.
Mhm.
And then just kind of figure out, like, of course, this time of year there, people have wood stoves and
Right.
or fireplaces, and when you go outside you can smell them. And I don't really, like, initially those first couple of years, like, I could barely stand it. Like, I just wanted to go knock on everyone's door and be like, get your chimney inspected and don't
Right.
trust it. And like, this could happen. And if anything smells weird, get out of your house.
Right. Right.
But like, I'm not really having those feelings anymore when I smell
Mhm.
it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been, I mean, that was in 2016. So it's been this many years
Right.
but still like, like when the Christmas season starts coming and, the trees start going up and,
Mhm.
I still, of course it crosses my mind,
Of
right?
course.
That this is what happened. And then my daughter, the one who was in the house, she's 21 now, and she was like, I'm feeling so much more anxious than usual. And like,
Mm,
just, this was like yesterday. And then I was like, well, you know what's coming up? And she's like,
mhm.
I bet that's it,
Wow.
because it's like this, the same rhythm of we're getting this close to Christmas. We're getting,
Right.
our Christmas dinner that my mother had, the night of the fire, that's the Saturday night. And,
Right.
it's all of,
There is
the
definitely
things.
something down the road that I'd like us to talk about because it's something that I learned. There's different parts of our brain, and there's the different parts of our brain actually hold memories.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting. I don't know the technical words. I have to look that up, but it's so interesting that our bodies remember, like you had said, and it's like it keeps the score of things. And it's
Right. Like I
like,
feel it in my body before my brain is thinking
mhm,
about it.
right,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right. And I think
Hmm.
that's so important. I think sometimes people have gone through traumatic events and
Hmm.
they don't connect it or they don't understand it. And it's so important to understand like that's normal. Like your body does remember. It does remember. Even if you're not technically thinking about it, your subconscious is thinking about it. Those smells,
Hmm.
flavors, the sounds, or the sights, the different things that remind you, it
Hmm.
does come up.
Yes. Hmm.
And that nervous system is a powerful thing.
It is because it's hard to override it with your brain because,
Mhm.
I was with my boyfriend and I was telling him like that I'm like, oh, this Christmas music is making me anxious, but I know it's fine and I know it's not going to be fun. And I just want to
Mhm.
relax and have fun and enjoy the season. And
Right.
I am enjoying the season, but it's this undercurrent of,
Mhm.
um, yeah.
It's just that little reminding, like little
Hmm.
familiar feeling, that anxious
Hmm.
feeling. So you
And
went through,
then I just want to
okay.
say, like, back to the beginning, and then I tell myself, but you don't have anything to feel that way about. Everything turned out fine,
Mm,
like we did on Friday. You know what I mean? So then it's
right,
like, that's not how you help yourself,
right,
right? Anyway, go ahead.
right. Now, I was going to say something similar to that, and it's like, it's so, we think it's so much easier to push that stuff down.
Hmm.
And I'm going to distract myself and I'm going to think about something else. I'm just going
Hmm.
to think about, oh, it's all the pretty things and the fun things and all the, you know, nice things. But if you don't face those feelings, the ones that you
Hmm.
don't want to face, they're always going to keep coming up. And although you get reminded, right? Like you get
Hmm.
reminded of those things, you're able to now calm yourself.
Right. So when I acknowledge where that's coming from,
Mm,
instead of being like, I don't want to think about that, I don't want to talk, when I
right.
acknowledge where it's coming from, it's easier to move forward and then create new pathways. And
Mhm.
yeah.
So, I mean, what is like, so you go through this fire, you, in those since when we, 2016, right? This is when it
Yes.
happened. So, I'm not good at math, but in between those years and now, you had this fire, you went through a divorce, these things happened, and it's like you had to do a lot of rebuilding.
Hmm.
And I think that is, you can definitely kind of look at the analogy of rebuilding from a house fire with rebuilding a life. So what do you think grew from that time? Like, what is the thing that you're most thankful for that grew out of that time?
I mean, I think that what I'm is that God, I can clearly see how God is always working behind the scenes, even when it doesn't feel like it, even when you're having your worst days or it feels like he's
Right.
not moving. I mean, we'll talk more as things go. Missy, you kind of know, and people who know me personally know there was a lot that
Right.
not just the divorce, not just, there was a sick child, there was, there was lots of things going on.
Right.
And just knowing that God is faithful
Mhm.
in all of it, and he has, over and over and over again, shown me his faithfulness. And another thing that I didn't mention that I had kind of forgotten about after the fire, every Sunday in church, we went to a Methodist church and people didn't really get on their knees and pray.
Mhm.
Every Sunday when we would pray, I would hit my knees every
Wow.
Sunday. And I was thinking, when I was thinking about that, I was like, why did I stop?
Mhm.
Why did I stop getting on my knees and being thankful? Because it didn't matter to me that no one else was on their knees. I really just felt called to um just humble myself and get on my knees during prayer at church. Um and my and then also I was like, you know what, I could have died last night. Like, I was so bold in my faith and my moves, and even though these things were going on behind the scenes, um and then, and like looking at this, and I still am, I still am, but it's different, it's
Right.
different. Hmm.
What I saw is in the past, 9 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was trying to do the math in my head. Is your faith has definitely become bolder and you're
Mm,
more confident in yourself and in
mm,
because of God and your faith. And you definitely have a different light in your eyes. And I think
mm.
that comes from a lot of different facets of healing.
I mean, I think it comes from telling the truth and living in truth,
Right.
right? And then also, I mean, he led me to a career where I am constantly recognizing that I'm his vessel for healing.
Right.
And really, I mean, my morning routine is like almost constant prayer of just please give me what I need for each client. Please give me what I need for each client. It's this constant. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to go to work every day,
Right.
really. Um, and yeah, I think these past years, um, knowing, like, when I can look, just like you said, when I can look back and see him in my darkest moments, that it makes, yeah, I am more bold now and I am more confident now because I know that there's a divine destiny for my life and for my kids' lives, and all of our lives, really. And I don't have to, I just have to do the next step, whatever that is. I just, if I can't see 5 years out, which I'm, when someone's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I am
Mhm.
the worst person to ask that, because when you look past, like just from 2016, I mean, my 5 year plan, none of my 5 year plans,
Right. That's out the
none,
window.
none of my 5 year
Right.
plans were
Right.
anywhere near what I would have planned for
Hmm.
myself. But when I go from there to here, and I can see what he did and how he changed me and my heart and the people that he's put in my life.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it would be his faithfulness.
That's
That's
beautiful.
mhm.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it and you think back to everything that you've been through, and it's like you can look at it as a fire, is that, God burned it all down. Like he
And
just
it needed to burn. It
and it
needed to
needed to
burn.
burn. And I think I remember us sharing the meme. It's like if we have to burn the like something, burn the bridges, and or I don't remember. It's some like girl power thing about burning bridges, and we ride at dawn and
We
all this
ride
kind
it
of stuff,
on, yeah.
right? And I just think of
Right.
like, everything that you've been through. And I cannot wait to tell more of your story because I think it's so inspiring, because you truly are living out your purpose. I believe
Mhm.
100% you truly are. I mean,
Mhm.
you've been to Africa, you've, made some really hard choices in your life, despite what anybody thought. And you have really truly built back a life with God, from the ashes. And I think that is just
Yes.
amazing to witness. Like you've been a mentor to me,
Mhm.
along this journey, and you've been somebody that's helped me see things clearer. And I love that. Like, I love that we
Thank
have
you,
this
Missy.
relationship, and I'm so happy that you are where you are and to see that sparkle in your eye.
That's so meaningful. I'm so thankful for you too. I mean, we could
We could go on for
we
hours
have
like
a
this.
mutual adorations.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and this is
Yes.
this is something that I think is so important to share, like your wisdom is, this was a question that we talked about before of
Mhm.
asking at the end of this. What would you say to someone listening, standing in their own ashes, maybe not an actual fire, but a loss that they never saw coming? What is your advice?
My advice would be to let people love you
Mm,
and to trust God. To just like you said when you read out of Angie Smith's
mm,
devotion, at some point you have to make your mind up. Am I going to trust God or am I not going to trust that God? Am I going to believe that He loves me or am I not going to believe that He loves me? And go from there. Get yourself connected. I mean, my faith, that's if there's anything good in me or light in me or positive in me, it's because of my faith.
mhm,
Right. So if you're asking me for advice, like how did I go through all of those things and end up here? It's because of Jesus Christ.
mm.
Right. It and I mean that's it. So
Right.
get plugged in, surround yourself, and and sometimes you have to like watch your circle and
Mm,
um you um you and your influences and surround yourself with people, uplifting people that are going to encourage you
right.
and that's something like whether your world is burning down or not, you need to um really think about who you're hanging with and who's in your life.
That's great
Mhm.
advice.
Mhm.
That's really great advice.
Mhm.
Um,
But I'm
yeah.
glad you said that because I know I think we were meant to say that in the beginning, like whether just because it's not always a house fire that burns your life. I mean, shoot, my life has been burned down how many times now? Like,
Right. And again,
like
it
yeah,
could be burned down many times. Like
right.
we,
Until you get to the root problem, right?
right. And I mean, it's so true in that, sometimes God does work on us, and it takes a long time to for us to realize what he's doing. He's teaching us things and and we're not, God bless us. We're not smart. Like we just, it takes us, we're stubborn and we want
Like,
things fast and easy. Like,
well, we're the Israelites, the same thing. Like we're
right,
just going to complain and then he's going to bless
right,
us and then we're going to
right.
complain and then yeah, and we went and then, and then watching our children go through things, that's a whole nother
Mm,
level and you're just,
oh, girl.
and
Mm,
yeah, I mean, um
yeah, it's a lot.
another podcast.
That's a whole nother
Only with
series.
their permission, right? Although
Right,
I
right.
think, yeah, yeah.
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 I mean, I just am so grateful that, you have shared your story and that I know that there was a period of time where, you lost friends and
It
you
was
you
nice.
had you had a circle of people. And I think that's so important for you to talk about is because you had
Mhm.
a large group of people that you thought loved you. And when things started, with the fire, there was a lot of blessings. But when other
Mhm.
things happen, it is so important to have the right people in your corner
Mhm.
that are going to burn bridges and ride it on with you because that's who really loves you are the people that stay no matter what that at your
Mhm.
lowest points at they're the real ones and it's important to
Mhm.
find them whether it's one person or it's five people. You don't need a big circle, but
Mhm.
find the ones that are gonna and I remember you teaching me this phrase. It was like standing in the gap, and I didn't understand what that meant at first. But
Mhm.
there's moments where you don't know, you don't have the words to pray, you don't know which way to go, which way to move. And it's like finding those people who will pray for you.
Yes. And being willing to, and then it's also like, and you have to be careful, like the people that stepped away, it's not even, I mean, some of it was rotten. Like some of it was rotten.
Right.
Some of the things that were said to me were rotten.
Right.
But I think God pulled them out and we have to be careful because we're not meant to save everyone. We're not meant
Right.
to like, right. So, um, yeah, it,
Right.
do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
I
like,
do.
yeah.
Right. Some people are, it's better just to let them go and
Well, they have
it's
to, like,
okay.
we have to learn our own lessons and
Mhm.
we have, you know,
So
so
all that to say, what is your last message to people about your story?
you know what, I'm just gonna say, like, love your people and take care of each other.
Mhm.
And again, find a good church. That's um I mean, that's my thing
Yeah.
is um
Because the next thing is going to roll around and you're going to need good support. So, thank you so much for being so honest and digging deep and going back to those places because it's not easy. It's, I think like you had said, it was kind of hard at first. You're like, oh, I'm just going to talk about, all the blessings and the stuff. And then, once you tap back into that, it was like, whoa, it
mhm,
was a lot that you went through.
yeah.
So thank you for being honest and sharing that. And I cannot wait to share more of your story. This is just a small little part of your life, and I appreciate it.
Mhm.
So
Thank you, Missy. I don't know.
yeah,
I hope when we listen back,
I hope it makes sense. It made sense to us,
because like you said,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I say?
I don't
What
even
is
know
out
what
there in internet land?
Right. It's out there in the internet world
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, so we're so thankful that you're here, that
Yeah.
you're listening to us, and we
Mhm.
cannot wait to come back. We're going to take a little break for the holidays, and
Mhm.
we're going to come back in January with some guests that we cannot
Mhm.
wait to share their stories. And we're just two women that are just, we love Jesus and we have stories and we want to help other people. So thanks for
Yeah.
listening and you know, we'll see you soon. Happy
Yes.
holidays, Merry Christmas.
Yes.
We love you all.